fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh. Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go!
Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
This is your chance to get behind the wheel. The opportunity to race just like the pros. From the grassroots levels, where we all got our start, to the most popular race cars on the planet. From the fairgrounds of Nashville to the high banks of Daytona, to tracks that will never be forgotten. Realistic driving, intense competition, all from the comfort of your own home. This is the ultimate motorsports simulation. This is iRacing.
Good evening and welcome back to SimSpeed TV, ladies and gentlemen. It's a Thursday night, which means we return once again for the second round of the 7th season of the SimRigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series as we head to the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit tonight. My name is Daniel Yeaman, and tonight with me, Jay Kennedy, doubling up on production and commentary. Unfortunately, missing David Haynes, who's usually with us in the commentary for this one. So we will have to do our solemn best here as a two-man team tonight. But Jay, cracking around last week to start off Season 7 over at Silverstone, we head to another classic venue, if not perhaps its original form when it comes to the Nürburgring overall, you might say. But certainly plenty of great history here at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, despite its relatively modern iteration here and origins.
Yeah, the Grand Prix track opened in the early 90s to enable Formula One racing to come here and in its more modern form, and it's a very, very well-known circuit, very, very well liked by a lot of the drivers, and it's added a really cool element to Nordschleife as well for the Nürburgring 24 and other endurance events, and very, very familiar layout. As I said, everyone on the service knows it. Very, very cool. Going to be lots of passing in these GT3 cars, especially into the chicane and into the final couple of corners, as well as into the Dunlop hairpin.
That is very true indeed. Now, tonight we are using the Endurance WEC class configuration tonight. So the NGK chicane you see on screen here with the track map will not be that sharp, and the drivers will have a much higher speed through that section of the circuit. So not so much a passing opportunity there as the Grand Prix configuration as you just saw there on the screen is, but still indeed plenty of other great opportunities around this circuit to get the job done here tonight. So, second round of the season, Jay, another sprint round. For those who don't know what that means here for the SimRigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series, we've got ourselves two divisions worth of racing to cover, of course, on top of that all. So first up is Pass 2, which had our second half of the qualifying drivers in the series, but also is open to anyone wishing to get in on the action. First up on a Thursday night, currently coming to the end of their open qualifying session as well. And cars here on track will have one more lap to be able to, or one more chance to get a lap on the books here as they start a lap here. Looking at our winner from last week, Jay, Matt Cardellone, and he's certainly in that new Mercedes AMG GT3, looking like one to beat here tonight.
Yeah, sorry, Dan, just forget to turn my mic back on. Cardellone did have it relatively easy at the front last week. I mean, he had a little bit of a fight at the front for some of the race last week, but was relatively easy, but I don't think it'll be quite as easy this week. The other part of this too, the racing we saw in the back half of the field in Pass 2 is absolutely incredible. So hopefully we see a little bit of that tonight, and fingers crossed we see it going forward into the Pro-Am later on in the evening.
Indeed, yeah. So I think I was sort of crisscross and didn't actually finish the whole thing about how the racing works here with AusPass. So yeah, 25-minute race for these guys here in Pass 2. as the feeder race for those who didn't make the cut during the preseason qualifying, or for those who joined later on and have joined after the qualifying round races and sessions preseason wrapped up. And then for our main pro-am tonight, 10-minute opening race is a flat-out, complete brawl of a sprint race. And then we'll get to a 40-minute main event to wrap things up. You can see there tonight, 28% tank restriction as per the sprint rounds. So these guys here will have to make one stop for fuel. They're also got just over 20 litres of fuel to start with to help also enforce that regulation as to the end of qualifying. So it's going to be, they're going to get one more lap in here for those who've just made it across the line. So the Ferrari ahead of Buchanan there will be the one to make it across. Thomas Prake in the 113, I believe, Jay, will have made it across. I don't think Buchanan there in that Lamborghini will have made the cut at the end of the session.
No, I think he's just missed out, as you rightly said there. So he's actually pulled out of the lap anyway. So
yes, can really confirm it.
Going to matter too much, as we see here, Paul Longworth coming through that chicane, as you said, not running the Grand Prix chicane. I loaded up the wrong track map, but it's close enough. Just a bit more flowing of a chicane, much better for GT cars. The tighter chicane, much better suited to Formula cars as Longworth crosses the line. That's his... No, it's not his best lap. A little bit off the pace, so it won't improve. And that is his session done. Best he'll start is 15th.
Unfortunately, invalidated that one to boot. Lee Vandenberg, 9.63, came home second last week in his debut to the series. Looks to try and improve here in the final lap. 53.47. He does improve, and he's barely within the race lead, unfortunately. Not going to get pole position tonight, but closes that gap up to just under a tenth there in the second of our two Mercedes up front. And then we're looking here at Patrick Panton in the number 36, looking to improve on position 14 here as he comes towards the line.
Only a couple of drivers still left out on track in this session, so there won't be many more times coming in on the board. And a few of those drivers have already backed out of their laps. So we'll see Panton cross the line, we'll see Cardellone cross the line. We'll also see Brady Carr cross the line here too, so we could see 3 changes of position here right at the end of the session. Panton's best time of 55.7 does not improve. Cardellone comes into the pits. He is done, as does Brady Carr. So those guys are all wrapped up. One more driver, Jack Nicholson, maybe the last one here to get a lap in.
Unfortunately, Mickelson did not get a lap in time. And Jordan Ferguson following him across the line in that number 21 Audi looks to have not improved as well. So that's going to do us for qualifying times here tonight by the looks of things, Jay. And it's going to be a healthy looking grid there. 23 cars we're taking to the server tonight here in Pass 2.
Yeah, and Cardellone gets pole once again, but very, very tight at the front there between he and Vandenberg. Only 0.07 of a second. Fairly big gap back to the rest from there, but that's nice and tight at the front. And of course, we've seen as well, racing pace is very, very different to qualifying pace with a lot of drivers, so that should make it very interesting too.
That it will indeed. So let's have a run through again here. Top 6 there. Matthew Cardellone and Lee Vandenberg, the all-Mercedes front row, looking to do what they did once again at Silverstone once again here tonight at the Nurburgring. And then Brady Buchanan. Now that, I believe, is a car switch even from last week, Jay, to the Lamborghini for him. He'll be joined by Brady Carr, and another close little timing gap there for row 2. Jeffrey Wang, Simon Mazzomo taking out 5th and 6th for the start of this one here tonight. It's going to be Jason Muscat and Hendrik Razinga on row number 4, and then Stuart Brown and Matt Tesseriro sharing the 5th row here tonight. Hayden Jackson and Jamie Blackman will round out our top 12 and just over the front half of tonight's field.
Yeah, from there we've got Joshua Lawrence and Patrick Panton on row number 7. Row 8 will be Liam Caplice and Paul Longworth, with Jordan Ferguson and Tom Sklanders on row 9, all Audi 9th row there. Row 10 will be Nick Wood and Timothy Febben, Jack Mickelson, Thomas Leprake, and also Jordan Schultzliff. I think that's how you say it, Schultzliff. We'll go with that anyway. He's the last of our runners. The last 5 there did not set times. And just looking as well, it looks like there's 7 or 8 drivers that have decided to change cars from last week. So a fairly big jump in cars, or a jump of drivers changing car manufacturers from last week. Surprisingly, not all have gone to the Mercedes, which I would have thought that would have been the car of choice for almost everyone, but doesn't look like it will be the case.
Yeah, certainly has been a very good car. Definitely favours a driver that can really, I find it quite a stable car. does love the high-speed turns. It is a little bit understeery with a front engine setup and configuration, but that feels fairly true to life here as the grid begins the formation lap here and roll away up to the start-finish line. And another AusPass rule tonight will be that, of course, the race leader will be waiting on the green flag signal from Barney and iRacing here, so no going once the pace car is in, so we'll have to wait for that signal. And we'll get these guys round onto the front straight for that to happen here at the Nurburgring. So yeah, while pace car pulls in, they'll now get that formation tightened back up after Beswick chicane here and get ready to get the second round of season number 7 of the SimRacing.com AusPass Sim Series in Pass 2 here, at least underway in just a moment's time as we now await the green flag and the rest of the field comes around that final turn, holding formation here as we come across the start-finish line. The signal is unfortunately quite a bit late down the straight. But there it is from Barney. He waves the green flag and we get round number 2 of the series underway here with Pass 2.
Fairly good launch from everybody. Of course, the start line, different position to the finish line, may catch a few out as Jason Muscat having a huge dive up the inside. Backs out of it, 3 wide through the corner. Looks like we're going to get through okay. No, a little bit of contact there. Henry Krasinski around.
Yep, there was indeed one of the Mercedes going in too deep at turn 1. Got into the right rear of Krasinski there, and unfortunately that's sent him around, and that will put him to the back of the field. Does rejoin though, and he's back out on track as we watch back on with our top 4 here. They're unchanged for now at least as they make their way down through the and exit the arena section and focusing on Brady Carr for a second here. Joined the series last week and made a good debut for himself in 3rd place and looking to continue that stroke once again. A big dive bomb at turn number 6 there in the mid-pack. Looks like that was, pardon me, one of our guys in here somewhere had an absolute send and just made that work somehow. Looks like all drivers continuing on fairly nicely as we then come down into hairpin at the end of the circuit. One of our BMWs there, a little wide. Jordan Schultzliff in that number 22 Beamer. He's gotten through the corner all right though, and he's making places up 4 spots from his starting position, Jay. So trying to get a move on here nice and early, it seems.
Yeah, it definitely is, and apologies, we're just having a couple of issues with Discord at the moment, so we're trying to fix them on the fly. Something's happened to Liam Caplice there, and may have had a slowdown penalty through the chicane, and is losing a fair bit of ground there. He's lost 3 or 4 positions. Fingers crossed he gets through okay.
Yes, they're trying to get up the inside there. Under brakes is Jamie Blackman in the number 12 Ferrari. Has to back out of it though and slot back in behind Caplice through the chicane for the first time here. So, bit of different banging on, a little trouble in the background for one of our guys in the rear of the field, Tom Schlanders, but he is recovered at least. So, unfortunately, we'll have to see where he is. Unfortunately, way out of shot there as the rest of the field makes their way down the front stretch to get that first lap on the board. That's a BMW. Patrick Pan looking up the inside of Ferguson there for 15th. He's been given about 6 miles of room, so they get through there nice and steady. And if Panton can swing down here, he'll get that job done. He does indeed. There through turn 2. A lot of space being given by these guys. Nice and gentle here in this opening couple of laps. As then there comes Schultzliff up the inside with Ferguson. And don't think he's got the job done there as we switch our eyes back up towards the front with Brady Carr once again. You can see that in front of him, Jay Brady Buchanan, looking to keep some pressure on Vandenberg here tonight and not let him run away. But once again, Matthew Cardellone starting to check out towards the front of this field.
Yeah, he definitely is. Fingers crossed he can get himself sorted. Get the rest of the field to not break away. The top 4 have broken a little bit of a gap, and fingers crossed we may have just fixed our little bit of audio issue there. And the battles behind this top 4 is probably where it's at. You've got the teammates of Brown and Muscat who are relatively close. They're in a very, very good little battle. And Mazomo, new to the series with Hayden Jackson there. Jackson, also new to the series, or returning this week. He and Mazomo, they had a nice little battle earlier on in the lap. So Cardellone has it all on his own at the moment, but the other parts of that, yeah, it has. Yeah.
That gap was 0.7 of a second. Yeah. That's why I said he was checking out earlier in the lap, and then come to the end of the lap here, and Vandenberg is all over his rear gearbox at 0.2. So looking like maybe a tale of 2 halves here when it comes to pace in this car around this circuit. But this is what I want to see here in pass 2. Cardellone having to think about the defensive down into turn number 1 here on this Grand Prix configuration. Narrow way in. Vandenberg's going to try and tuck and get the exit, but he's got Buchanan and Carr directly behind. So this top 4 is certainly going to keep us busy at points during the race. But again, you can see here, Jay, gap back up to half a second after turn number 1. So going to be a case of ebb and flow at this rate, unless things change quite drastically in the next couple of turns. I think there's part of your answer. Cardellone very much more aggressive, if not running it out over the grass there to get a 1x. But Vandenberg a little bit more narrow and therefore compromising entry speed a bit in that particular section of the circuit.
Yeah, one thing I'm just looking at on the sector times, the first half of the lap, the sectors 1 and 2, the iRacing sectors 1 and 2, the Formula 1 sector 1, Cardellone by far quicker, about 0.4 of a second overall on the lap. But those 0.4 come back almost instantly in those next sectors as Musket up the inside of his teammate in Brown, and Mizomo's there. Mizomo surprisingly went for the Porsche. We know how much of a Porsche fan he is, you and I that do that is, Dan, and he messaged me earlier and said he's breaking the mould and going with the Porsche, and first seems to be broadcast for him in his new team at 9.5. Very, very nice move. So Mizomo up to 7. He's back almost to where he started. He started in 6th, lost a couple of spots at the start, but nice little bit of driving here. That prepared for the race. He didn't even know what the format was.
Yes, well, there you go. Minus credit score for Mizomo there for not checking in on how the standard sprint round works. But we can.
I think he's
get
just
that
excited for next week.
Yeah, next week will certainly be a little bit more at home for him, I dare suggest. But we'll talk about that at the end of the broadcast, I think. So look at this up here. The fight for P3 is now on. Brady Carr thinking about the inside of Buchanan, but he's not there at turn 1. Meanwhile, that's very wide for Cardellone on the exit of turn 1. The Yokohama S, if I'm seeing the iRacing track map correctly. Although that may technically be what the 24 layout is more like. Is again on board here with our race leader at this stage. And you can see here, gets a good drive off of the end of the arena section, turn 4 there. But definitely keeping a little bit more honest at this stage. You just have to hope that these guys can keep the pressure up as the race goes on. Last week at Silverstone, he was able to check out after the pit stop cycle for these cars. And, well, hopefully can get a chance to be contested. Because after competing in the Pro-Am last season, maybe a bit of an interesting step down for him into Pass 2. But, well, that's the way pre-season qualifying works, I guess. Sometimes you have good races and good venues, and sometimes you don't. And given, well, pre-qualifying was at Winton for this season, that's certainly a technical and difficult track to get your lap flow in.
All the other part to that too is we know that people are really good racers and not necessarily the best qualifiers, and we know that pre-qualifying was highly competitive. Around about 80-odd drivers tried to make it in to the Pro-Am this season, and just shows the strength of the season going forward, how many more drivers were getting into the series and getting involved, and the fact that Pass 2 gets more and more drivers welcoming them to the series each and every week shows the strength of the series as well. So great problem to have. I know myself and Sam have talked during the week about how to tackle the fact that we've got good drivers wanting to come in and race in this series. Good problem to have with them wanting to come in. There's just a little bit of a mistake there from Hayden Jackson. A little bit down on pace. I'm not 100% sure what happened there, but just noticed the end of the lap there was a little bit of a messy one. As just see another car off.
Yes.
Jordan Schitzliff had a moment there too.
Yeah, Jackson went to a bit of mowing on the exit of the Beswick chicane. So that's what's happened to him there. So thankfully only lost about a second or so doing so as we continue with the live pictures here on board with Jason Muscat, one of our leading Ferraris here in the number 46. And yeah, well, Mizomo wants that starting spot back and get himself up towards P6 once again. And well, definitely hungry for it there in the Porsche. And yeah, you're definitely saying, Mez, sorry, pardon me, Jay, talking about Mez, that's who we're doing here. But yeah, he definitely against the grain this week as we check back in with Hendrik Razinga looking to recover after his earlier incident at turn 1, lap 1. Currently on the back of Thomas Leprake as they come out of turn 7 there, the forward curve. Not able to make a move this time by, though, unfortunately. But But just quickly going back to the Porsche here in the current. Oh, no trouble inside the hairpin. Tessarero's inside on the grass there, Jay.
Yeah, Tessarero around, so see if we can pick up what has happened to him there. So, and also we were talking there before about Krasinga. He almost got one of those spots back, but couldn't quite get it in the end there. Let's see what happened here to Tessarero. It's just the same as what we saw last week. A lot of drivers were complaining about the lazy spin. Oh, was that Patrick Panton that got involved there?
I believe that will be the Mercedes of Liam Caplice, because right now he's falling back through the order like an absolute stone in that Mercedes of number 20 entry. So, unfortunately, I think that's what's happened there. Back to live pitch as we go, and, well, there's the other party involved for Caplice there in that Merc on the inside of shot, and, well, he gets that car into the pit lane to fix it up and get it home from here. That's unfortunately not what he would like, but we're going to have to make do with it from this stage onwards.
Positive is the pit window pretty much opens from here anyway. Around about 10 to 12 minutes into the race is where the tank will run out. So pitting now is not a big issue. Just puts you on a little bit of an alternate strategy. So I don't think it'll hurt him too much in the long run.
Oh, yeah, certainly not. That is a good point to make, of course. These cars here, 5 to 6 laps of fuel is what they often design to start with in this series. So that takes about 10. There goes up the inside Mazomo through turn number 6 on Muscat and gets that job done without too much of a fuss from the driver of the 46 Ferrari. So back to where he started there in that Porsche 911 as Caplice in and out of the box. 10 seconds stationary time for him, and ticks off that pit stop requirement tonight. Tessarero, 11.9 seconds. He is now also done with his pit stop, and they were joined by Tom Schlanders in the number 8 Audi. So that's now 3 drivers to get their pit stop mandated by the setup tonight. And fuel restrictions done and dusted as we're checking in here with Joshua Lawrence in the 155. Now, one of 3 Porsches in the field tonight, and hopefully now I get a chance to talk about it. But a lot of drivers sort of discussing how the Porsche felt just on even iRacing setups and conditions, which the AusPass setups are designed based off of, at least. But, pardon me, that drivers really struggling with the Porsche in terms of performance and drivability. We've seen plenty of drivers have trouble. And the number 7, that's Hayden Jackson, and once again looking like he's made another bit of a mistake at the Beswick chicane. Jay, but able to bring it straight into the pit lane to get that one out of the way here at the end of lap 6.
Yeah, disappointing there for Hayden. Of course, very familiar to racing in the real world. Races in the Toyota 86 series in real life, and just got a little bit loose going into the chicane, and round he went. Now, interesting. Have a look at pit lane.
It is very busy. Yes, everyone but the top 2 has come down onto the lane here at the end of lap 6. So, quite interestingly, our 2 Mercedes drivers in Cardellone and Vandenberg have opted to go the distance here. And
Mazomo's jumped Wang in that pit stop. Lawrence not quite able to jump Stuart Brown as they're continuing their fight.
Now, that is also very interesting to see indeed. And it does make a bit of sense in some respects. The Porsche is very good fuel economy wise. It has been tuned this season to start with a litre less fuel than most of the other cars here. And actually, pardon me, and the Mercedes, it starts 2 litres less than the Mercedes, 1 litre less than just about everything else here in the series. So there's meant to be a little bit of balance of performance in that, but can see Mazomo 10.6 seconds stationary in the box versus 13 for Jeffrey Wang. So Mazomo is definitely on the short side when it comes to fuel, but looks like we'll see how well that goes as our race leaders get themselves one more lap into this race and get themselves down onto the lane. Oh, little mistake for Hang on.
Vandenberg continuing? No, he's still going.
Vandenberg's out of gas. He's limping in out of fuel here.
Wow, so he's ran it very, very fine, and will he make it? Doing 53, he's losing ground because he's around about 10 kilometres an hour slower than Cardellone, so he could actually lose second position here to Brady Buchanan.
I reckon that's a good odds there indeed. We'll keep an eye on it as Buchanan's coming through the Beswick chicane uncontested after, pressure from Brady Carr in the opening half of this race seems to have got a very good in-lap. and outlap here in that number 16 Lamborghini. Catalone 10 seconds in the box. That's a quick time as well from the lead driver. That will see him extend his advantage over Buchanan. But yep, Buchanan goes through into P2. Carr's going to go through. Mizomo's through. Wang is through. Oh, trying to stretch the extra lap is absolutely brutally punished. Vandenberg here. Back to 6th place from 2nd. And a relatively uncontested 2nd, it would seem, based on the way things have been going there. So, absolute disaster for the 963 driver. He's got a lot of work to do and just 10 minutes to do it here.
Yeah, he's really going to have to work hard. So, what have we got? Maybe 5.5 laps left. The other question mark I'm looking at, of course, Catalone went an extra lap from everyone else, but even still, his pit stop was very, very quick in comparison to Vandenberg. So, has he gone a lap short in fuel? That's going to be interesting to look at when we come up to the end of the race. Still 5 laps to go when they come to the line next time by.
Yeah, you would think he has enough fuel in that car. You should be fairly straightforward with the advent of fuel calculators, as that was Liam Caplice sliding down the timing tower. And unfortunately, that is a slow-moving Liam Caplice on the exit of turn 4 as a replay thanks to Virtual Racing School. So the number 23, that was in the hands of Jack Mickelson there on the way into turn 3 and 4. Oh, a little bit of bump and grind between the two of them there. And then up into turn 4. And, yeah, that's not looking too good from that particular angle there. And then just gets it out of the way as drivers coming through on the racing line. And it looks a bit dicey, but, well, to be frank, honest about that, I think probably the best thing you could have done, because it looks like those drivers weren't ready for a car parked up on the racing line there, Jay. Yeah,
they were racing too hard to worry about someone on the racing line. And back to Mickelson, because he's now got Thomas Leprate right there. I'm guessing Mickelson's feeling a little bit sheepish after that incident just then. So we'll see if he maybe looks at redressing. I mean, Caplice is a fair way back now, so he might have thought, no, I better not redress. Continue on as Patrick Panton thinks about a look up into the chicane. We said before that it is a passing opportunity, but you really have to be committed and get yourself alongside. It's almost better to try and get yourself through the chicane and then set up a move into the hairpin right at the end of the lap. 5 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, it is very much a very challenging spot to think about a move yet. I think realistically we're not going to see many moves there tonight unless you're either already alongside on the way down. The straightaway is up the inside. Panton looks, but he's not there under brakes. He's going to have to just show the nose and try and get that Ferrari of Leprate to get out of the way. But of course, Leprate, he's trying to set his sights here on Mickelson directly ahead. So back and forth they go here through the arena section. And trying to keep the pressure on. And that's a little deep from Leprate. That might compromise his run a bit here. Has Panton got anything for him on the exit there in the BMW? I don't think he does, unfortunately. So we show the nose, certainly. Try and get in the mirrors and the mind of Leprate. But that Ferrari is looking in decent hands for now. Just a little too deep in a few spots as we check back in with our leaders, Jay. And, well, yeah, Lee Vandenberg, he's certainly trying to get back to where he'd rather be. But once he gets through Jeffrey Wang, they're all quite spaced out here up to P2, so he's going to have to make rapid work of them all at about a car per lap at this stage if he wants to get back to second, which is going to be, to be honest, I think quite a hard ask at this rate.
Yeah, it's going to be real difficult for him to actually get back in towards second position, but I mean, every spot he gets from here is a big bonus from where he ended up, and I'm sure he'll go back and assess how come he didn't make it on fuel, and maybe wondering whether he should have been saving a little bit more like Cardellone obviously was during that first stint. Also to note, Liam Caplice has come back into the pits, and it looks like he has retired from the race, so it's unfortunate to see.
Yeah, number 20 Mercedes now on the jacks for 1 minute and 20 seconds, so that is a lengthy stop for him as Vandenberg shows the nose into turn 1, but he's not there under brakes. He's going to have to try and get the exit right, and trying to push here, but even still, fastest lap last time around from everyone in the server. That goes to Matt Connell out front. Is up the inside. Here it comes at turn 3. Just talking about the lap times and such. He's up the inside, but Wang's still there. And in fact, Wang here is going to get a nice drive off the corner, but he actually gives the respect to the outside. Vandenberg is going to get the run as a result off of turn 4 there, here to turn 6. Although, Jeffrey's not giving it up here just yet. No. We're going to try to go to the outside. No, not around the outside of turn 6. Can't hang it there. It's too cambered on the inside. So 1 spot regained for that Mercedes. And, target up next is Simon Mazzomo, who's actually looking pretty racy here on the back of Brady Carr. as we're in this 3.5 laps to go here, Jay. So once again, BMW not quite looking as strong in the hands of Brady towards the end part of this race, but also once again the Porsche still got some legs on it here as we're checking in with the Audi of Ferguson and the Ferrari of Blackman, and they get through there side by side. Krasinga's in behind, still looking to gain some more spots. Ferguson looks to almost have it done, Jay, but Blackman's going to try and outbrake him around the outside of the Dunlop car.
And Krasinga thought maybe I go around the outside as well, backed out of it at the last second, and now probably regrets that decision because he lost all of his momentum. Must say that Chip Ganassi-inspired livery is very, very cool on Krasinga's car, and his teammate, I believe, Paul Longworth, maybe the other car from memory. Just trying to remember off the photos I saw on Discord. I can't remember off the top of my head, but this is a great little battle for P14 between Blackman, Ferguson, and Krasinga.
Yes, let me see if I can find that for you, Jay. Where is the channel that talks about teams? I believe it's actually one of our Pro-Am drivers, Matt Andrews, although that would require me actually finding that fact out, and I can't see that fact for certain.
Oh, here we go.
Teamed up with Matt Andrews last season. Oh! Mazzomo and Carr coming through on traffic, and oh boy, that got a bit hairy there. The Audi of Tom Sklanders there nearly trips up the two of them. So to the replay we go here. So Carr leading Mazzomo throughout a turn 1. Through turn 2 they come. So see Sklanders in the Audi. He's getting the headlight flashing while actually Carr goes around the outside of turn 3. That doesn't work there. It's too cambered. And then as he's fired up the inside in the corner there, and that's looking a bit dicey from that angle too. So, yeah, not quite sure what the thought was there. See if we can get a different angle just to clear things up, perhaps. So inside of turn 4, yeah, but yeah, just drives across like he wasn't there, Jay. That's definitely not the kind of awareness and spatial awareness that we like to see.
Yeah, interesting incident. That'll be one that I'm sure Race Control will look at during the week. Mazzomo will be thinking that was good. He's got through into a potential podium spot, and he's actually faster than Brady Buchanan up ahead. So Mazzomo is actually the fastest car on track at the moment with 2 laps to go. There may be enough time for him to get there to Brady Buchanan. You can't see him get into Cardellone, and Vandenberg is well and truly dropping off. I'm wondering if he's still short on fuel as well. I'm wondering if he's loud pedal, a little bit too overworked in this car, and he's starting to struggle with the fuel economy.
I don't think so. Looks like maybe last lap just dealing with that lap traffic Audi.
Maybe.
Or actually other traffic, I should say, because I wouldn't be coming up on that. But back into the 54s, but your fastest lap of the race comes from the race leader in Cardellone at 53.5 that last time around. It's the fastest valid lap of the race so far here. So despite the fact he's got the shortest pit stop of everyone and has been leading the entire race with no free slipstream to lift and coast off of, he's pulled another 1.3 seconds on Brady Buchanan in second in the last lap. And Mazzomo pulled only a 10th, but that's thanks to the traffic ebb and flow and the lap traffic causing a bit of chaos there. So expect Mazzomo to be pushing once again, I think, this lap. But we'll check back in with him in a second, Jay, because here's that fight just outside the top 10 here. Hayden Jackson is up the road, unfortunately, so it's traffic of actually Liam Caplice has returned to the circuit after lengthy repairs, so he hasn't given up, thankfully, just yet here tonight. But it now means we've got ourselves
Krasinga trying to get through on Powden, couldn't quite get it done, although over under.
Oh
no.
Into the side, in the apex there of the forward curve, and well, that looked a little bit too tight on the exit to be a move that could be pulled off successfully. So unfortunately, that's all come undone there. So there's your race leader, Matthew Cardellone. Round the final turn, he comes to receive the white flag this time to make it a 13-lap race here in Pass 2 tonight. And another 153 from that Mercedes. Mazzomo is coming. Gap is 1 second to Buchanan ahead, as Jackson is actually interesting, very slow there in the Audi there. And another incident for Jackson, a lengthy off-track excursion as well there, has dropped him back into the clutches of Jack Mickelson in that AMG Mercedes. So he now fights over 10th place with Mickelson here as they get ready to start their final lap of the race.
Yeah, Jackson had a very up and down race in this one, hasn't he? He's had some very good battles, but yeah, the bad has outweighed the good in this one, unfortunately for him. But he's found himself in a very, very cool little battle pack right now. That battle pack was 7 cars before, but of course with that contact between Krasinga and Panton, that pack has broken up. As Jackson looks up the inside, not able to do it, and then Leprate thinks about having a move up the inside as well. So very, very interesting little battle pack right here. Jack Mickelson, though, has got himself back in the top 10.
Yeah, he has. It's good stuff indeed, as we see there. Krasinga getting around the outside of Paul Longworth there for 15th place. So unfortunately, having to do the recovery drive one more time is, yeah, I think this is worth checking back in. The gaps are closing in this fight over 3rd place and second too. It's deep from Azomo at turn 11. That's going to open up the attack here for Card down the final part, the final straightaway, but he's very close already. He's going to have to get a nice drive off of here, and it's going to have to be, again, that setup through the far chicane, surely, and then try and make it stick at the final turn. But, maybe if you can get enough run here and really force an issue at this final chicane here, and he's trying to look right the outside. That's not the place he's going to make it stick. Chose for the cut there. That could be close to a slowdown. No, he's got away with it, but therefore so does Buchanan in 2nd place. And while this is all happening, there you go, Matthew Cardellone, front of shot, already takes the checkered flag. Mazoma's going to hang on to P3 there, ahead of Brady Carr. And Buchanan hangs on to P2 as the rest of our drivers make their way through. Jason Muscat, get just in behind Lawrence for 7th, but the action is on behind here. Just outside the top 10, Leprake and Ferguson going out and up to the final chicane. And, he's looking Ferguson. Leprake makes sure to give space up and over the curb. This is getting very close to slowdown territory, but we're not actually getting it. That's Jackson in the background. Jamie Blackman with him. Krasinga's going to get some spots at the end of the race to make up for that. And, dramatic scenes in here in the final lap as a couple of ambitious moves are attempted, and unfortunately, they do not work out there for a couple of guys. Thankfully, up the front, good stuff. Just aggressive driving to the end. But, here are those race results now that everyone is across the line here in Pass 2 tonight. Matthew Cardellone makes it 2 race wins in a row for this season. 8.7 seconds clear of Brady Buchanan. Ended up being a fairly comfy one for the 81 Mercedes, and pushing all the way to the NJ. So despite the fact he had the shortest pit stop of everyone and pitted last, no issues with fuel there for him tonight. So there, Buchanan able to hang on to 2nd thanks to last lap scrapping between Mazomo and Brady Carr. They round out your top 4. Lee Vandenberg not quite able to make it back to them. He'll have to settle for a 5th place finish here tonight, ahead of Jeffrey Wang in 6th place. Joshua Lawrence in 7th, had Jason Muscat for company there at the line, but able to hang on ahead of that Ferrari, so 8th place to the 46. Stuart Brown next there, 9th place, and a bit of a quiet end for him. And then Jack Mickelson in 10th place, and just ahead of that next battle pack we saw right at the end of that one there.
Yeah, just behind is Thomas Leprake. He is the biggest mover in the field, +9. Jack Mickelson, I can't quite see that on my screen. It's Dick Larry, who was also up 9. So the 2 biggest movers there were Leprake and also Mickelson. Jordan Ferguson up 5, finishes in 12th. Henrik Krasinga, what a race of up and downs for him. Ends up getting 3 spots at the finish line on the last lap to finish in 13th, with Longworth behind him in 14th. Then Blackman and Jackson held up, waited, and made sure that he let Blackman finish before him at the end of the race. So that's 15th and 16th of those guys, with Patrick Panton, Matt Tessereo, and then Tom Sklanders, as we saw a lap down, as well as Liam Caplice, who came back out right at the end. Jordan Sutcliffe, he ended up finishing very, very early on with some issues. Nick Wood, Timothy Feeben didn't quite manage to take the start of the race.
I believe that's because we should be seeing Timothy in the Pro-Am in a moment's time, Joe.
So yeah.
Same for Nick Wood as well. So a couple of drivers either, just incorrectly joining the Pass 2 server here.
Wouldn't be a race without that, would it? We've seen that each and every week. It's surprised it wasn't Jack Widders.
Indeed, yes. We'll take a short break here at Sim Speed. Speaking of, get ready for that main Pro-Am race here in a moment's time. Of course, 10-minute and 40-minute races coming up, but stay tuned. Take a minute to listen to our sponsors here and partners at SimSpeed, and we'll be back with you in just a couple of minutes.
This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going in the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh
him.
my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my god.
God, what?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the main event of tonight's round of the SimRigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series here on SimSpeed TV. It's the second round of season number 7, and Daniel Yeaman here with Jay Kennedy on production and comms to bring it to you all for this one tonight. Another sprint round format means, of course, 10-minute opening race, 40-minute main event. We're here on the grid now for this first race here in the Pro-Am, and now the grid is going to roll away, and we'll talk you through it real quick here. 41 cars, so I better do this nice and snappy here. It's Ross Rizzo on the inside for pole position in that 784 Audi. He's got Kobe Williams alongside him on the front row. It's Luke Turner and Lachlan Capel, 3rd and 4th tonight. There in the second row, Alexander Burton, Dylan O'Shea share row number 3 tonight, 5 and 6. 7th to Jeff Connell. 8th to Simon Cox. Danny Davidson out of P9 with Daniel Cheney alongside in 10th. Timothy Thieben and Jack Widdis 11th and 12th. Brandon Levin and Matt Andrews 13th and 14th. Christopher Hen, Joshua Fitt 15-16. Adam Funslow, Graham Smith, Wayne Hewitt and Dennis Gaderick ran out top 20. 21st, Chu Kang. 22nd, Ben Jeffrey, Daniel Hill, Aaron Racanello, Sean Lacey, Richard Brookfield, Sam Lehman, Nick Wood, Jeremy Greentree, Derek Audie, 30 cars. Stephen Burgess, Owen Coleman, Rob Hill, Nick Botchell, Adam Jepson, Hilton Booth, Jake Janovic, Ben Pollock, Simon Dwyer, Phil Audie, and Hamish Munro. That is your 41 entrants for tonight's race. And there's the green flag for Barney, so let's get this one underway here for the Pro-Am. And Alexander Bird is already looking racy up the middle of your front row starters. We are 4 wide into turn 1.
This is not going to end well.
Cheaty in the dirt. Oh, Cheaty's taking 2 with him. Oh, that's not gone so well. Multiple people dodging to the inside and outside the result. Oh, dear. Capel spun on the exit of turn 1. Oh, car switch for the number 18 after the Porsche wasn't going so well. And unfortunately for him, the start here in the BMW has not gone well. Danny Davidson, the other one of the drivers, caught up in that one there. And, oh, boy, Jake, it's all kinds of dicey. Rizzo hangs on to the lead of this race, but he's got Alex Bird looking to give him a good run for his money there. And, well, despite the fact that they're actually in different paints as per their actual teams for the most part, Rizzo and Bird are teamed up when it comes to the AusPass Championship. So, whilst they will certainly be racing each other for individual results, I expect these two probably will be trying to think about the long run here when it comes to points. As that's Jack Widdis, Timothy Thieben, and Dylan O'Shea all going at it. Thieben and Widdis are up 5 spots each already, as O'Shea's trying to hang on to what he's got here as they go side by side through the Schumacher rest, and they both make it stiff. Hang on to it, boys, and give each other space here. It's just lap 1. It's a short sprint race, sure, but you've got to be careful here as, they're both leaning on each other incredibly hard here.
Good battle. Great to watch, but not good if you're in the cars, I don't think. Great job for Matt Andrews to be able to sit back and watch that. He would have been quite happy to sit and watch because that was getting messy very, very quickly. Front of the field, as you said, Bird and Rizzo, former teammates, so that's why they've teamed up together. Side by side, just behind Matt Andrews, is Dennis Gaderick making his way through on Brandon Levin. Up the inside, move done, not quite. Yep, now he gets it done.
Yeah, nice drive off the corner exit there. Inside line, certainly the favourable place to be, but look at that there for P2 at the bottom shot. That was Luke Turner and Kobe Williams trying to keep the pressure on Alex Bird. Turner thinking around the outside of turn 1. He's not going to make that stick, though, and now gives Williams a fresh chance at it, but he now will have the outside for turn 2, and Jeff Connell here as we jump on board with number 4. Merck is looking for a chance to get back into the scrap, but look at this here, side by side through turn 3 as Williams is trying to get the job done, but Turner shuts the nose in front of him there for turn 4.
Yeah, nice bit of driving there from Kobe Williams to hold on to the spot, but it's not over. He's going to have to defend this the whole way down to the Ford curve. And he does do just that. We're not going to be able to see the over and under that we saw attempted in pass 2 from Krasinga. And two things I'm very, very surprised about. Poor qualifying for Jack Widdis from what we've seen previously. And a poor start from Kobe Williams. He's usually much better at getting away from the start of a race, but he dropped from 2nd to 4th before the start of turn 1.
Yeah, that was an absolute bit of, all things considered, for Kobe's pace and performance starting on the front row tonight. Just, didn't respond to the green flag signal that he was having to wait on here, and just, got absolutely monstered by the guys on row 2. And, you're not wrong there. Jack Widdis, 12th place start for him tonight, and certainly not what we expect from him after his pace last season and also last week. Of course, taking the feature race win quite convincingly around Silverstone in that car after getting to the front of the field nice and early on, and then just checking out from there. But, well, looks like it's the Audi show up front to start this one off. And, decent bit of diversity in terms of having at least 3 manufacturers, in the top 4. Make it 3 manufacturers from the top 5 or so. It was trouble between Widdis and O'Shea at the final turn. They've both dropped outside the back end of the top 10 here now. Yeah,
there's been contact between them, so we'll pick that up in just a moment. But definitely some contact happening between O'Shea and Widdis. Matt Andrews has gone through 3 wide into this corner. Doesn't always work, but they've managed to get it through okay. Forced wide there is O'Shea. So he's gone from 7th in this race all the way back to 10th, and he's leaning on Brandon Levin. And Levin wasn't really giving him too much there. He was pushing back just as hard as O'Shea was pushing him.
Oh, yeah, boy, 11 trying to get up the inside and take advantage, but wasn't able to seal the deal. And when the track goes back to the left like that, the hang around the outside makes it work there. As we jump back to a replay thanks to Virtual Racing, so we'll get an idea of just what happened between these two guys. Running 7th and 8th, as you said there, through the final chicane. And Witter's too deep.
Big dive, Tom.
That's why. So then dive up the inside from O'Shea. Door was closing, though, and they trip each other up. Matt Andrews says, I'll take both your spots. Thank you very much. And they get on with it here. So in case you're new to the series and new to our coverage of it here at SimSpeed TV, here is the round format for tonight here in the Pro-Am. 10-minute opening race here, which is, well, nothing much more than an all-out brawl, and then 40 minutes for the main event. Reverse the top 10 results from this first race to set the grid for race 2. Otherwise, it's the results from race 1 if you're 11th on back. And the restricted fuel tank means that, and fixed setup, I should say, too, because the numbers are slightly different. They shouldn't need to fill the fuel in this first race, but they will certainly need at least one. And, well, if going off last week's results, should expect a pretty certain two-stopper, because I believe the idea this season, Jay, is to try and eliminate the possibility of a one-stopper by really stretching the fuel here and by really clamping down on that fuel tank restriction for this 7th season as we keep our eyes on the lead battle. Bird shows a nose. Turner's trying to defend from Williams, has to show the nose on Bird just to cover that one off there. So, these boys are certainly going to leave everything on the table, and we've got 3 more laps of this at this rate based on the clock remaining. Yeah,
still plenty of action left in this race, so this is going to be a very, very heated battle between this top 5. Timothy Febben, who was ahead of the group of O'Shea and Jack Whittis, is now in a little bit of no man's land, and then Matt Andrews has Jack Whittis starting to close in a little bit, and he's bringing O'Shea with him. Dennis Gaderick as well involved there too. Have a look at this back here. There's just cars everywhere. This is from 28th, 29th on back. I don't want to put a graphic up on screen because the screen will just go all over the place. There's cars battling, chopping, changing positions everywhere in this group.
We've got 2x2. So hang on, I'm just trying to get my heads on exactly who we've got to cover here. So 28th place. Yep, okay. So Hamish Munro leads the train in that number 98 Lamborghini. Then Adam Jepson and Phil Audie, the first 2 in line. Quickly followed by Simon Cox and Jake Janovic, who's just got passed by Christopher Henn. And Stephen Burgess thinks about it in the background is shot. And then it keeps on going. Danny Davidson trying to recover. And they've got Nick Wood and Simon Dwyer to make it, pretty much, I'd call it, 10 places. 10-car train, all scrapping over about 4 seconds of road here.
Good to see that doesn't matter your pace, you've got cars to battle with. Tell you what, I wouldn't want to be in this pack. I'd be too nervous. I'd be like, no, you boys go through. Got to go back to the front, though, because Ross Rizzo has lost the lead and may lose second place here. Alexander Bird is through into the lead of the race.
Oh, how did that happen there? Mind you, good run from Rizzo off the final turn. Jay's going to give Bird a good run for his money. And we've got traffic on pit exit as well. Oh boy, that's going to get a bit dicey if they catch the traffic there. It's Jeremy Greentree up ahead as Turner looks to the inside of Rizzo at turn 1. He's almost forcing the issue. He's going to try and go on the outside. Connell shoves the nose up the inside of Turner. We're 3 wide through turn 2.
Oh, this is crazy. These guys know it's a sprint race. They're leaving it all on the table in this pro class. And not quite clear is Jeff Connell. And he's going to go from 5th to 3rd. No, he's going to stay in 3rd. I thought he was going to drop all the way back to 5th there because if he lost that spot to Kobe Williams, he was going to lose the next one to Luke Turner as well.
Oh, he definitely took up the advantage of a 1X off track to take care of that one there. But, oh boy, all it's done is actually drag Timothy Febben into the fight for 5th place here as all this scrapping is slowing them down into the 1 minute 53s. As if that was pedestrian around here. As, oh goodness me, O'Shea and Witt is still going at it once again. They're on the back of Matt Andrews, still haven't found a way through, so they'll be trying to get that spot off of him. And of course, O'Shea is there to race Andrews with respect to the AM class here as part of the Pro-Am. And, well, another driver looking to make a charge up the field, Lachlan Capel. Another lap 1 drama for him in the sprint race. Unfortunately, he's only back in 26th here, so he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to make that work. But back to the front of the field, Jay, and on board with Luke Turner. Having been up towards the front of it, of this little group here, he's now back at 5th, but going to have one more lap to have a crack at these guys. And, well, certainly anything goes with this bunch, it seems.
Oh, this is all-out war, isn't it, between these 5? And imagine if we had Jack Whittis in there as well, being the other championship contender in this series. It would be absolutely crazy to have him involved as well. Final lap of the race, 20 seconds on the clock. It's going to come right down to the end. We're going to go back to Whittis because he's got O'Shea ahead of him, but not quite able to get through as Matt Andrews just covers off in front of Jack Whittis, forces him to have a little bit of a brake lock-up. And that's going to mean that O'Shea may get that spot, and does.
He's through now. They were back and forth down the front straight from what I can see here. So O'Shea wants to race Andrews for that class win here in race number 1 tonight. But he's got to be careful because this is a good starting spot for race 2 and need to protect that as well here, of course. So out of the Mercedes arena we come down to the 4 curve, and we just need to try and set up the run here on these guys. But also Dennis Gaderick currently sitting in P10. He obviously wants to look after himself because if he can hang on to that spot there, that's quite nice. But you got Brandon Levin just there, background of shot, Adam Funzlo, and well, Funzlo is leading a train of another 5 cars or thereabouts.
How long this is?
Yeah, back to Ben Jeffrey in 16th, and then a small gap. Sean Lacey and Aaron Racanello is only about 5 seconds down the road as well. As side by side between O'Shea and Andrews round the outside of the Schumacher S. O'Shea puts the foot in it and says, I'll have that spot, thank you very much. Whittis is coming. He wants every overall spot he can get here tonight. Looking for the inside at turn number 11. He's there. It's going to send Gaderick through. That will push Andrews back to P10 at this rate. But that's not the worst thing. Oh, who spun? Was that Timothy Phoeben, I think?
No, that was the lap down car.
Oh, Jeremy Greentree, unfortunately, says farewell to this one. So that's not so great for him. But we'll take a quick moment to go back to the front of the field. Alexander Bird has been somewhat uncontested there, able to stretch the legs. But look at that there for the rest of the top 6. They come across the line, nose to tail. And that will be them done for that race. O'Shea gets 7th, Whittis for 8th. And then 9th to Gaderick. But 10th place and reverse grid pole is going to go to Matt Andrews there in the Rosso Volante Mercedes. And then look at the pack behind. Oh, dear. Meanwhile, who is that back there? One of the Ferraris. Chu Kang, by the looks of things, it is. Unfortunately, around at the final chicane. As look at them here, just coming across the line in quite a literal mob.
What a crazy race that was. And of course, that's just the first race of 2 for the night. We've got the main event coming up next where we do it all again. Reverse the top 10, as you said, but throw into that a couple of pit stops. This is going to be a crazy night of racing. I cannot wait, but here's race 1 results.
Yeah, let's run them through with you now. Alexander Berg gets that race win after starting out of 5th place tonight. So quite the move up the grid there for him in the number 82 Audi. Teammate for the season, Ross Rizzo, after holding on to the start quite nicely there. Unfortunately, unable to keep it to him there towards the end, but he'll take a pretty solid 2nd place, I dare suggest, for that one there. Jeff Connell makes it up to 3rd from 7th in that one. Kobe Williams, one of our first drivers to drop back a couple of spots into 4th for him at the end of that one there tonight. Luke Turner also losing some spots, but 5th place will be, I think, decent enough. Timothy Thieben, one of our bigger movers, up from 11th into 6th. Dylan O'Shea takes your AM class win in race number 1. He'll be pretty happy with that one. Jack Whittis just hangs on ahead of Dennis Gaderick for 8th and 9th, and then Matt Andrews, the next of our AM class drivers, but of course, crucially, our race 2 pole sitter here for the main event tonight.
And then the rest of the field will start as they finish. So Brandon Levin will start in 11th with Funzlo P12, Joshua Fitt in P13. Then these guys were all sideways, side by side across the line. Wayne Hewitt in 14th with Daniel Hill, Ben Jeffrey, Sean Lacey, Aaron Racanello, Sam Lehman, and Owen Coleman. Only 5 seconds separating those 10 cars. Incredibly tight there.
Probably the closest gap I think I've seen for a road race finish. I mean, it's just the kind of gaps you don't often see, and you can see it continues on. 21st with Graham Smith and 22nd in Richard Brookfield.
They were
Barely
in that group as well.
Another 1 and a bit seconds behind the rest of the pack there. So, yeah, 20 seconds covering 22 cars here within 10 minutes. Obviously, that is quite impressive there. 23rd place, though, tonight goes to Ben Pollock there. Lachlan Capel, 24th place, but certainly not where his qualifying pace would tell you it belongs. And, well, he'll be trying to make some more work back on that one again tonight. Rob Hill makes it 25th place finish for him. Ahead of Derek Audie there in 26th. Chu Kang, a little mistake at the end of the race there. 27th for him, ahead of Hilton Booth 28th. Adam Jepson there in 29th. Another driver caught up in lap 1. Danny Davidson has to settle for a 30th place finish in race 1 here.
Yeah, good recovery though from where he was at the end of lap 1, but still disappointing. And Phil Audie 31st with Christopher Hen in 32nd. Hamish Monroe and Stephen Burgess side by side across the line as well for 33rd and 34th. Simon Cox in 35th. Daniel Cheney, who's already put his hand up, apologised, said, sorry guys, that was all on me at the start of the race. He finishes this one in 36th. 37th goes to Nick Wood in our beautiful McLaren with Nick Bottrell, Jake Vanovic and Simon Dwyer rounding out the top 40. And the last of our cars was Jeremy Greentree, who we did see at the end of the race. He did have a moment and unfortunately put him way back in the field. Now, can I see if we can get, I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll see if we can replay the start of that last race. Look at what happened to the 444 to start this huge incident that we saw. Let's see if this works. I think we might be able to get a replay. Here we go.
That would be fantastic. That race was so busy we didn't get a chance to have back look at it. So watch to the far right of screen there. Daniel Cheney, unfortunately, just out wide and already in the... Just a little bit there by Rob Hill. And then across the nose they go. Clips Davidson. And looks like, thankfully, it's only those three guys who get massively tripped up. Oh, there, look at that. Actually, pardon me, back towards pit exit there. We've got more troubles. And then separate to that, Lachlan Capel's had a moment. And you can see the Capel in the drop bear blue BMW, unfortunately, there. My heart breaks to see it, given that is my that is my
team
boys.
boss hat off for a second.
Yeah, I've got to keep that hat off every time I'm on broadcast. Isn't that right?
Yeah, it's hard to do. Nick Wood was that car that we saw at the back of the shot there too that had that incident as well. So Nick Wood was the car that we saw involved, and he's also apologised for his incident at the back. Not too sure exactly what it was. I don't think I can get a replay of that.
I think
too many
he's
cars
basically
happening there, so it's been a little bit of a struggle this series. It's a great problem to have when we've got so many cars out there.
From what I'm gathering, I think he's basically saying, yeah, also got the grass under brakes into turn one.
That's what it says too.
Just misplaced himself in relative time and simulated space there, and unfortunately, the grass is not your friend. Despite the fact, well, ABS or no ABS, you aren't going to slow down on the grass. Well, that was a good way to burn up the 5-minute warm-up, Jay. So what that means is we'll be able to proceed to the grid. Of course, the results invert the top 10. Otherwise, take your starting spot as they come. So most of these guys, it'll be a couple of drivers out of place towards the back. Now, top 10, obviously, a bit of an inverted Met will be inverted, and that will certainly spice the start of the race up. But, well, we've seen it be busy before, but hopefully here the potential for this one to get off to a good start will be promising, as there we are gridding now. And, well, not long left on the clock before we get this race underway. So best be on the grid pretty soon, I would dare say.
Yeah, and a stacked field, so going to be an interesting one. Alexander Bird, the downfall to his success in that race is, of course, he starts in 10th position, but he'll be okay with that. He, along with Rizzo and Connell, passed so many cars last round, but I think the biggest winner out of this reverse grid is actually Jack Wittes, who lost spots from where he got himself up to after that lap 1, turn 1 incident. He's now found himself right at the front of the field. Same thing happened last round, didn't it? At Silverstone, he didn't quite have the greatest race 1, but capitalised in race 2.
Yep, that's good. It is a good point to make. And I think, yeah, longer race, pit stop strategy. If you can get yourself out in the clear, dictate the pace, or more importantly, get out front, and that's when you can be most effective and efficient with fuel saving. That all does sound like good places and times to be. So now on the formation roll up once again here, and we'll have to see here, can our guys at the front get that jump that they need to start this one off right? Of course, once again, have to wait on the iRacing signal from Barney, the flag man, to get this one underway. So despite the fact that the pace car is now rolling down the lane and will be behind the safety car cones in a second, they will have to hold about 100 kilometers per hour as we come around the final turn. And you can see Widders actually dragging the brakes, probably got his foot already flat on the floor. It's just a matter of coming off the throttle. So we wait for the signal for the green, and look at that there, they're already fanning out down the back straight. There's the green flag from iRacing. Who can get the jump here? Andrews covers off Widders already, but he's going to look for the race lead 3 wide into turn 1 at the front of the field. O'Shea's diving and ducking and diving. We're already 4 wide as Kobe Williams is up the brake, up the inside, trying to find the inside. It is going off here at the start, but looks like we're going to get through turn 1. Okay, I think at the front. It looks like we have.
A little bit of an incident at the back. Derek Audie involved as he's around, as a couple of cars actually started in pit lane. But Matt Andrews, not the greatest start. He's been absolutely swamped. And Jeff Connell was trying to make moves very quickly. He got it right up towards about 3rd position, but couldn't quite get the spot done as they're 3 wide. Gaderick, Andrews, and Williams. Thankfully, they pulled out of that very, very quickly.
Oh, there's a lot of pushing and diving and trying to get it up the inside here as they make their way down towards turn number 8 here. The Dunlop Care for the first time looking there at Matt Andrews, your pole setup. Of course, he isn't racing most of these guys when it comes to the championship because, while there is an overall point score, it's just there with respect to sort of getting an idea of where the drivers should be in the Pro or Am categories. And so his fight is with Dylan O'Shea. Unfortunately, O'Shea is up the road hassling out race leader Jack Widders for that spot. You can see there, he is staying on the bumper of the 898 Mercedes. So, in Andrew's case, he wants to obviously get back to O'Shea's. Yeah, Timothy Feeben there. That's not the thing he needs here at the start of the race. He has to slot in behind, I believe that'll be Gaderick. Yeah, no, pardon me, that'll be Luke Turner. He's slotted in behind, and Alexander Bird. And no, he's still having to bleed time on that slot in. So, he is tumbling outside the top 10. And, up the inside of him, that's going to be Graham Smith there. And, yep, he's able to get that job done with that 2 inch fast. But that is a lot of pain for the 888, who did have good pace in that first races. Oh, boys, trouble back at the Beswick chicane for a couple of our AM class guys, but stay here with Gaderick and Connell as they make their way for the flight to turn 1. Gaderick trying to find a way past that, not that all-black Mercedes. Gaderick in the all-white Mercedes, yep, and not able to get it done this time, Jake. Almost invites a bit of danger from Matt Andrews behind, who was just trying to do his own thing.
And just behind those guys, a few AM and Pro guys mixed in together. You got Racanello, Capel, Kang, Pollock, Davison trying to make his way through. Good start from him. Already up 10 spots in this race. As we just see Lachlan Capel up the inside. Sean Lacey and now the outside, but it looks like he will get that one done by the time they get up to turn 5. Yep, move will be done there. Alexander Bird is up 3 spots so far. Good start from him. Biggest mover is Danny Davison, as we said, and Timothy Febben is the car that has lost the most with that slowdown penalty. He's dropped 10 from where he started.
Yeah, that is certainly not what you like to see. Yeah, Davison up 9 spots is quite a good charge for him. Obviously, looking for a bit of redemption in this one, and has plenty of traffic to get through if he wants to pull it off. So his hope really is that these guys here scrap away all race long, and well, they're certainly going to continue having a go at it here, but looks of things, Matt Andrews might just be that old proverbial cork in the bottle. The guys up the very front, as we see there. Luke Turner currently actually down 3 spots into 9th. It's not what he would like, and I guess, yeah, for Matt Andrews, his race is just trying to press on here, but, well, Alexander Bird and Ross Rizzo and Turner, they're all lining up behind him here, so it feels like it's a matter of when, not if, because that's a good run for Bird off the final corner. Looks to be a little bit more maximised, that's for sure. And, well, he's getting up underneath the Mercedes here. Surely a dive under brakes into turn 1 you'd expect from the 82. Shows the nose once, shows the nose twice, and there it is. Very late under brakes. In fact, almost Ross Rizzo having half a thought of going up the inside, but that's more Andrews, I think, just trying to pull that one up. And it looks to have got that one sorted out there as the rest of the field flies on through. Back up to Jeff Connell there in 4th place, trying to chase down Kobe Williams. Is back to our lead once again, Jay, and oh boy, Jack Widders cannot shake Dylan O'Shea in this second race once again.
Almost like a bit of deja vu, just no one else around them at this point. Kobe Williams trying to catch them, did the fastest lap of the race on that previous lap of 151.7. So these guys are lapping around about 2 seconds quicker than we saw in our past 2 race earlier. And of course running the exact same setup as well. Of course the balance of performance is in effect in this race, or these races as well. We haven't talked about that yet. From race 1, based on each round's performances, we have a balance of performance adjustment. Just a little bit of an adjustment to the horsepower percentage. So the Audi got a small adjustment, half of a percentage, and the Mercedes got 1 full percentage of power dropped off it, and it doesn't look like it's hurt it anywhere near as much as we may have expected.
Yeah, it seems to be that maybe bringing it more in line, at least when it comes to the cars here in the Pro-Am. I didn't think to check past 2 just to be sure how that was, because I believe I saw on the rulebooks at some point that they were going to be dropping the balance of performance in past 2 just to allow
correct.
drivers to freely move in and out. It's all about here in the Pro-Am, because of course all these drivers either returning from last season, pardon me, or pre-qualifying on their merits. Here is trouble in the mid-pack as one of our AM-class drivers is around. Oh, it was Richard Brookfield. Oh, it's taking more drivers out in this fight, which was around the top of 20s, and unfortunately that's several drivers with some pretty serious damage there at the final turn of the race.
I'm going to replay that in just a second. You can see there Rizzo and Turner are through, and just behind to see as well Sam Lemon through on Rob Hill. Ben Pollock and Christopher Hen also side by side. I must say that livery for Ben Pollock looks absolutely beautiful.
Yes, I believe that looks a lot like, I'm trying to think of, either it's a very nice recreation of stylistically based off one of the BMW art cars of sorts. As we're going to take a quick look at Richard Brookfield in the number 33 Lamborghini, as he was the first one to spin at the final turn. So thanks to the replay from Virtual Racing School, we're going to see what happens here. So through that fast chicane, that all looks nice and fine. And oh dear, that's a big punt there from the 151 of Ben Polk, and then doesn't get the car stopped on the brakes, and as a result was rolled back across the nose of several guys, and that's caused a bit of a pile-up, to put it mildly. And you see Danny Davidson up the inside just dodges it. Capel and his Stendo just dodges it, but then 1, 2, 3, 4 other cars involved as a result of that there.
Tough situation to get in sometimes. You think, oh, I'll just get out of the way. But getting out of the way in some instances is the right move, and in other instances is absolutely the wrong move. And that one there was 100% the wrong move. But in the heat of battle, sometimes you don't know what the right thing to do is. I tell you what, how good's this, seeing our top 4 all together, and Gaderick and Bird aren't far away. Ross Rizzo has dropped because he couldn't get past Matt Andrews before. Here comes Williams looking up the inside, and we'll get it done on Dylan O'Shea.
Yeah, that's nice and easy. But here comes Jeff Connell up the inside on the brakes. Decides to try and take full advantage of the open door. He can't make it work, though, at turn 1, so he'll have to slot back in. But certainly, these guys here willing to put absolutely everything on the board when it comes to pressure and pace. There's a couple of drivers down the lane, and we're on board here with Adam Funslow in the 32. He's the first man down to his pit stall, and actually a decent way down the lane for him, so this is a good opportunity. 10 seconds stationary to refill the tank here at the end of lap number 4. So we'll keep an eye on how these guys go. That we saw in past 2,
isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Surprising. What we saw last round was 1 long stop and 1 short stop. So he's opting to get himself into some clear track, do the short stop now, and then he'll do the longer stop and see where he ends up.
Yeah, he's definitely got himself in some good air. He's got 7 seconds, almost 8 seconds to the next car up the road. So that will hopefully help him out here. As we check back in with all our pro class guys trying to make their way through after race number 1, mainly being Danny Davidson and Lachlan Capel, who we're checking out now, going around the outside of Rob Hill, but giving Hill as little space as he can get away with there, and really trusting that didn't go haywire there for him. And there's the Jeff Connell on the outside of Dylan O'Shea at turn number 13. So moves being made up the front of the field as well, Jay, and looks like the pros finally not taking no for an answer from guys like Dylan, who've been sort of hanging it out tough up front, and well, certainly showing he's got good speed here in the BMW tonight, but maybe just missing a couple of tenths for the X factor here as we jump on board with our race leader, Jack Wooders, who's got Kobe Williams now lining up to have a crack at him somewhere, probably down into turn 1, if he gets a good run and decides to dive it deep under brakes.
You can feel a dive coming at some point, can't you? You feel that it's going to be a real dive bomb move. It's not going to be a slow setup and a run out of a quarter. It's going to be a real throw up and try and get the move done.
Yeah, it is the kind of... It's certainly the corner that tempts it. You just got to be a little bit closer if you want to make it stick, I guess, but we'll have to see just what kind of ambition the guys have got there as Timothy Thieben's going at it with the 59. That belongs to Joshua Fitt in that Mercedes AMG here tonight. Thieben not able to make it work there. Actually, pardon me, they've been going back and forth a couple of corners here. So we're going to jump on with one of the guys in behind them, Wayne Hewitt, number 72 AMG for him here tonight. Looking to keep the pressure on and, well, look at that there just up the road, Jay. Familiar looking Mercedes in the form Matt Andrews has now settled into 10th place here in this race. So just, yeah, not got the pace tonight of our guys up the front, but I think now might have finally found a slightly more comfy spot for him on the circuit and sort of be able to get into a rhythm after the opening couple of laps, which was just absolute brutality, although more pros yet to come who would like to get into that top 10 to disrupt things there for him as well. So we'll see if Andrews can hang on to something around that 10th place outright tonight.
One of the guys that you're talking about, those pros trying to get themselves back in, is Danny Davison. He's now plus 13 positions from where he started. You think back to race 1, he was second last after the first corner. He dropped all the way back to second last, back to 40th position. So he's got himself back up over half the field. It's Dennis Gaderick gets by Dylan O'Shea because O'Shea is in the pits, but interesting, so is Jeff Connell. No, sorry. Yeah, Jeff Connell is in, Jack Whittis is in, Kobe Williams is in, Luke Turner continues on. So Mercedes continuing, but the rest of the field look like they're all coming in.
Yeah, a couple of Mercs are in the form of Whittis and Connell, and actually they're the main two from the front of the field, but nearly everyone is in. A handful do make it through and go for the 7th lap on the opening tank here. We saw this, remember, in pass 2, our lead 2 drivers made it 7 laps. Everyone else pulled it in after 6, so...
One of the 2 made 7, one made 6.9.
Yeah, okay, that's true. 6.9 is important. And that's crucial there.
Oh, Williams out first.
Kobe Williams and Jeff Connell both jumping Jack Whittis in the pit cycle. Whittis gets 13 seconds of fuel in the car versus 11 seconds. Well, that'll do it for you. So it looks like a couple of our guys opting for the short stop here and now. They'll take a lap's less worth of fuel to get the track position and try and clear out here in this next stint of the race.
Easier said than done, though, isn't it? With how competitive this field is. I don't know if you're going to be able to run away with the race like that. And interesting, too, I just noticed on the live timing that Dennis Gaderick has already lost a second on this lap. So going a lap longer to get clean air definitely has not paid off for him.
Big lifting coast into turn 11.
He's struggling with fuel, isn't he? He's almost out.
He's having to... Yeah, he's rolling this thing into the turns. This is now a gamble of strategy here, and it gets you clean air for a lap, but that's no good if you're having to lift and coast. So that was, yeah, huge amounts of roll through 11 and 12 here. Let's just listen up here into the Beswick. Saving fuel to be able to push into the final chicane here, but he's in deep. That's a bit deep from the 190. And he's got a slowdown penalty he's got to clear before he gets into the pit lane.
Luke Turner just passes him.
Around the outside, Turner gambles on making that work, and indeed, that looks to have been just on the inside of AOK. Well, that's about pushing it, and they're followed in by the last couple of guys who made it round here.
Now, so one thing we haven't talked about yet all night, we brought this up last week because we had to, incident limit. It is going to come into play. One person who is in lots of trouble with the incident limit, I think, is Dylan O'Shea. He has not registered an official lap as of yet in this race. Means he's running just off the track, racking them up. You get to 17, you get a drive-through penalty. That played big last round.
Yeah, it did. Now, that's actually quite important to note, as there goes... That's Luke Turner coming out of the lane to slot back in. He's going to be in behind. O'Shea almost tries to hang on to the spot, and that actually leaves him vulnerable to Alexander Bird, who's trying to get on through here. And 8.6 for the Mercedes of Turner. Now, that's...
So he's gone mega short to try and get himself track position, and then he'll do the long stop in the next one.
Well, yeah, that is the clearest indication of a short-long strategy compared to everyone else here tonight. that'll easily be at least 2 laps shorter than everyone else in this next phase of the race. So that will be important to note. If you can get track space in that final, and when he gets back out on track, that might be important. But we'll talk about that later, because here comes Graham Smith trying to get past Rob Hill. They're fighting over. No, pardon me. That's not. Oh no, trouble. Oh, Davison and Cable have gotten together behind this.
Wow.
Oh boy, 2 Pro Class drivers who been working up the field, almost line astern, and oh dear, Davison parks at one of the fence, and I suspect I'm going to see contact between the two.
Involved here.
Timothy Phoeben.
Phoeben.
Okay, so
dives up the inside, makes contact with Capel, and then
Davison's
just checked up to make sure he didn't run into the back of the other cars and just loops it around. Davison's parked it.
Yep, and well,
Lachlan Capel, black flag. Phil Audie, black flag.
Oh boy, well, there's incident limits for you tonight, and they take their first victims, and we're not even halfway into this one. So you said it, Jay, and clearly more drivers pushing it even harder than we said O'Shea was. So yeah, it's just unfortunately, as a spectator on the session, I don't have a clear indication of exactly how the incident situation looks like. But apparently Dennis Gaderick has recorded something akin to 15 off tracks. Alexander Bird 10, but they are estimates based on my timing software, so they could be flirting with danger, but not actually in too much trouble. We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, O'Shea and Wittes still together, but well, look at the gap that's opening up for between Wittes and Connell. Those 2 guys ahead may have been right to go for the undercut here, because it looks like they are starting to put a bit of a gap in between themselves and that 898 Mercedes.
Well, the other part of that is you don't know how much fuel savings going on in these guys as well. So we're just maybe just fuel saving so you can do the mega short stop next time by, exactly what Luke Turner's done, and just jump these guys. So you might be giving them a bit of a false sense of security, false sense of hope there, Jack Wittes, and thinking, I'll just save a dash of fuel now, stay close enough that, you know, I'm in this battle pack, and then do a short stop, jump them all, and surprise them. There's every possibility that that's what's going on right now in Jack Wittes' head.
Yeah, they owe Jack Wittes 2 seconds or thereabouts on fuel, stationary, if the burn rates are similar at least. So yeah, any extra couple of tenths or maybe even a second of stationary time for fuel here. As O'Shea's in deep at that far chicane, that's too quick, and going to open the door to Luke Turner potentially at the final turn, but no, O'Shea in deep enough, but able to keep it together, so hangs onto that spot. But can Turner get the slipstream run down the front stretch? Of course, down on engine power is that Mercedes. We did talk about it, but he's got the slipstream. Can he get to the inside under brakes? He can't. He's going to tap O'Shea in the rear. Oh, that's not good. And well, actually, O'Shea just gives up.
Yeah, O'Shea's just decided to escape back to the pits. I'm wondering
black
if
flag.
Yeah, he got black flag for the incident limit, so he was already at that point. So we said that he was going to be in trouble with the incident limit at some point anyway, so no real surprise to see him get to that limit, but surprising to see him give up the ghost there, because he was doing very, very well.
Yeah, racing for the AMP Championship here in this season, and well, yeah, it's the kind of thing you need to be able to keep putting in the results. He had a bit of a rough, we definitely had a very rough round at Silverstone last week. Mired in the mid-pack, and it was a bit of a scrappy race in the mid-pack at times. So
with that as
also,
well, it needs to be a little bit of situational awareness, because, I mean, the guys that he was in the pack with, he's really not racing those guys. He can give up those places and not stress about it, because the guys he's battling with, Matt Andrews and further on back, he didn't need to fight like he was.
And if I remember correctly, if here for AusPass, class points are done separate to overall points. So if you finish first in class, you get the same as finishing the guy who finishes first in pro. So there is that to consider. That is a valuable point to make there. So yeah, O'Shea is the second retirement from the session, or the main race here tonight. So it's another unfortunate departure from someone who has been up the front of the field and putting in good pace. But well, we'll turn our eyes towards our 2 drivers who are still at the front and trying to check out here. Gap is almost 3 seconds between Jeff Connell and Jack Wittes. So I'll keep you posted on that one as this stint continues. But, well, these two guys here trying to push on here. Apologies there. 1 minute 52s from Williams and Connell both on that last lap. Second faster than Jack Wittes on the last lap in particular to make notice. Unfortunately, yeah, trouble for Daniel Cheney down in fighting around 25th place. Unfortunately, he's gone very much wide at the preferred line and into the fence for him. We'll have a quick look at it on the replay. Thanks to Virtual Racing School. So up the inside, looking and actually, look at that.
He's done it all himself.
Compression locking up the inside of Chu Kang and just maybe trying to be respectful there and make sure he gives the space. And unfortunately for him, it's, yeah, compression locked the car, bumpy on the inside, and car says, nope, no can do. And destination fence for him was a one-way express ticket as well, which probably hurts the most out of all that.
We're now into the second half of the race. We completed 10 laps in the first phase, so looking like another 10 potential laps.
Might even just sneak an 11th in, given where they're at on track currently. So, yeah, 21, 22 laps. We'll see how that plays out here. But, I think, yeah, Connell, how much fuel saving is that man doing here in behind
Well, he's pretty
Williams?
good at it. Lots.
A little bit. There's a tiny bit of a lift on the way in, but I reckon, yeah, Williams is, they're both driving pretty quick. Oh, that was, I think, a little bit of a lift there into the final turn as well. So, well, I think that Mercedes is happy to run around and
He's
stay there in
contentious following,
P2.
isn't he?
He's a man who knows when to fuel save in this series, and yep. Oh, look at that! Wow. Well, if you thought Jeff Connell and fuel saving was gone from AusPass, no, it's back. It's back with a vengeance. You can take away the man's ability to one-stop this race, but you can't take away the fuel saving. It's a race. It's racing with fuel strategy, and despite the fact that I remember seeing some people who weren't fans of the fuel saving strategy, if you introduce pit stops, fuel saving is going to happen. You're going to have to live with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, fuel saving is always going to be a factor, regardless of how long the race is. If you've got a pit stop involved, whether it's compulsory or not, people are going to fuel save, and the guys that are good at it, even if it only saves half a second at the pit stop, half a second is huge in races like this. So, thumbs up to guys that are able to do it, like Jeff Connell. I've never, ever been any good at fuel saving. I was always hopeless at it and always decided there's no point me even trying. So, well done to the guys that have the skill and the ability to do it. Two of the best in Australia, I think, at fuel saving. You're in the top 5 at the moment, those being Jeff Connell and Ross Rizzo.
Yeah, certainly well known for their GT experience. And yeah, one of the things about GT certainly is knowing when to push and when to save. And well, yeah, when you're in P2, you've got a gap behind that looks like it's continuing to grow here. Jack Wittes does not have an answer to these guys. And well, to be honest, Jay, we said he maybe Wittes is trying to fuel save a bit. I honestly just think he's a little bit off the pace here compared to what these guys can produce tonight. So this is more just a case of he's pushing what he can do, and well, he'll do what he can for as long as he can. But well, with Alexander Bird behind a couple of tenths a lap faster, Bird will not be willing to wait around, knowing that he needs to try and close the gap if he wants to try and make it another race win here. As that's the first driver down into the lane from the front of the group. It's Luke Turner in the number 9 Mercedes.
Yeah, surprising to see him in already. I thought maybe in another lap, but of course he did that very, very short stint. The other thing about Jack Wittes, we were not sure whether he might be fuel saving or not. There's a little bit of contact there. Maybe the other guys in that pack were just quite content to let Jack Wittes lead the field while they just pushed on and let him do all of the fuel work, and they could all save behind him. So maybe that's why we're seeing Wittes now actually true to his pace. And remember, he did qualify in 12th for race 1. So he is a little bit off the pace from these guys at the front.
Yeah, quite a lot of possibilities to it all. And I think, yeah, if he can hang on towards the front of the field, hopefully have a chance to chat with him at the end of this one. But, well, Alex Bird, Ross Rizzo, they're going to make that pretty hard, to put it mildly, when it comes to hanging on here. As back towards Luke Turner, he's just gotten out of the pit lane in front of Stephen Burgess and a very hungry pack of cars here just outside the top 20. And, well, when it comes to timing his stops, that was about as good as it's going to get. 13.8 stationary in his box here. So matching up roughly with Jack Wittes or thereabouts on fuel, so we can expect that. The guys behind. So these two here, I would expect they're for about 9 seconds stationary in their next stop. Although
Widders might be about 7-second stop, so he might gain that 4 seconds or 3 or 4 seconds back in this stop if he's running the same sort of numbers we just saw there for Luke Turner.
yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on things and see how it plays out. So your front two, I expect then another lap or two of fuel in them here at this stage, and then see them down the lane. I wonder, does someone like Alexander Bird come into the pits? Yes, there we go. He's going to release himself.
Bird's starting to get held up by Widders, so he's come in to make sure that he doesn't get held up anymore and make sure he covers off Luke Turner.
Yep, of course. And Ross Rizzo maybe gets one more lap here at speed before he comes down the lane, as most of our drivers opting to stretch out what fuel they've got here in the cars. And no surprises there. Your M-Class leader is still Matt Andrews after O'Shea's retirement from the race. And, well, Matt Andrews certainly duking it out with the pros. The next man for him is Daniel Hill, and who's back in 11th outright currently. So Andrews looking pretty comfy at this stage for that AM-Class win here tonight. Graham Smith still challenging Hill there for second place in class, and it's just outside the top 10 currently as the pit cycle continues. Now, Luke Turner has come out, but Alexander Bird has well and truly covered him here on this pit cycle.
Yeah, about 2.5 second advantage. Bird's pit stop almost identical time to his first stop. So we'll probably see these guys that did an 11-second stop do another 11. So Jack Widders may be down in the 9-second bracket. So maybe 2.5 seconds faster when his stop happens in probably half a lap's time. These guys on their 7th lap of this stint. So 7 laps for some guys was about the limit. So we'll see if that is the limit now. Kobe Williams just doing enough to hold on. Jeff Connell may be able to get an extra one out of it due to the amount of fuel saving he's doing. It is a mega fuel save from him.
Yeah, well, 28% fuel tank cap is, well, let me just get you those numbers. 28% fuel tank is 29 litres in the Mercedes, or just actually a hair under 30. The Merc starts at 22 litres, the BMW 21,
here we go.
and
He's
no, both
following
cars are going to come in, so this is crucial. As Jeff
Connell wasn't going to stop there. He just came in because Kobe Williams came in. I think he just came in just for that reason only.
And look at that there, on the brakes into the pit limiter for the two of them. They pulled up nice and quick. Jack Widders is going through, so there's that extra lap of fuel for the 898 going to play out here. What can he do with an extra lap of fuel under his belt? Dennis Gaderick has followed him through, and Gaderick went a lap longer than Widders before he even pitted in the first place. So he will have a shorter stop again than those guys, but I'm watching the clocks here. Connell and Williams, who's going to be the first off the lane, identical, 10.7 and 10.6. Wow. So Williams is going to lead
Rizzo
Connell.
short stop.
Yeah, Rizzo 9.3. Gets a second back on the boys ahead, but he's still got work to do. Here comes Alexander Bird. Is it enough to overlap here? Rizzo is going to overlap his teammate for the series in Alexander Bird. He's going to have to get through this AM-Class traffic, though, if he wants to get up to speed and try and give himself a buffer here. Because these guys ahead of him need to give us one more stop as well.
Change of position here. Graham Smith out ahead of Daniel Hill in effective second and third in AM. So good job from Smith there with a bit of fuel saving. A little bit shorter stop, 1.5 seconds shorter, gets the jump.
Yep, that's the kind of thing we were expecting to see for Jeff Connell versus Kobe Williams, but it was not to be apparently. So Jack Widders, one more lap out of his car here for this fuel stint, but gap was nearly 5 seconds, unfortunately, up to Jeff Connell. So he'll make inroads on that gap when he comes out, but don't expect him, unfortunately, to have much in response. The advantage he'll have is clean air, whereas, well, actually, Kobe Williams does have clean air for now, but rapidly catching Sam Lehman, who's making his way around to come to the pits. And indeed, Widders brings it in at the end of lap 15, so that is his fuel stint done. But Gaderick is going to go another lap longer, so indeed, there's the extra lap showing his hand for Gaderick now. Does he have enough?
It's going to go again.
So, yeah, a couple of drivers here. And this makes sense. Joshua Fitt was able to make it an extra lap over everyone else at the start of the race as well. Sam Lehman does come into the pits. That frees up Kobe Williams and Jeff Connell here, right as Widders is going to come down to his box at the end of the lane. We'll see here, what can he do for pit time? Can he close the gap at all? But no, 10 same pit time as Connell and Wittes.
Everyone else, yeah.
Williams and Connell, pardon me. So Wittes is going to come out, and there
right in
goes
between.
Ross Rizzo under brakes here at turn 1. Can he pull it up? He's going to go in deep and actually force the issue with Rizzo. That exposes Rizzo to Alexander Bird here at turn 2. So now he's got 2 hungry Audis who want to have a go at him here, and we've only got 10 minutes on the clock. So 6 more laps are going to come from these guys here, and well, this is going to be an absolute stoush for what is still 3rd overall in this race.
What a battle this has turned into. Crazy race. There's Gaderick and Fitz still yet to pit, so still a little bit of shuffling to happen. As it stands right now, the biggest mover in the field is Jeremy Greentree, who we saw 2 laps down in race 1. Currently up 24, but has to pit. Christopher Henn is the biggest mover in the field, plus 14, finds himself in P18 at the moment, but after the field is cleansed and everyone has pitted, he should find himself up about P15.
Yeah, that is a very nice move through the field, and well, able to keep that nose clean tonight, which is the most important of all.
Before we go back to watching the front of the field, Sam Lehman has got himself in between the cars of Graham Smith and Daniel Hill to find himself in P3 in AM.
Well, that is quite
Good strategy.
The change of things. Now, does Lehman have the pace to go with him? 8 seconds stationary. There's your answer. That Ferrari is very light on fuel in this final stop as Gaderick brings it down the lane, and Joshua Fitt finally give us their final pit stops of this race. Now, where does Gaderick come out with relation to these 3 drivers on screen as we jump on board with Alexander Bird? He wants that net P3 off of Jack Wittes. Can Gaderick play spoiler? 8.5 seconds for Gaderick, he's away. But no, he will not be able to join the fight unless Wittes holds these guys up and he gets on the back of them here in the next couple of laps.
He's going to come out right with Luke Turner. No, Turner gets through.
Yeah, so Turner gives a bit of space here, but well, this could still become a 5-way fight for P3, Jay. I mean, Turner's last lap of 52.6 versus an outlap of 221 for Jack Wittes, so it's nothing is set in stone.
Disaster for Daniel Hill is, we were saying he was 3rd place or 4th place in AM. He's got to serve a drive-through penalty for exceeding the incident limit. So Daniel Hill's gone from P2 in AM to P3 to P4 to now way back about 10th, 11th in class.
Oh dear, that is unfortunate for the number 14 machine, but once again, track limits claiming a victim here. So that's certainly a circuit that does invite a bit of limit pushing, and well, not the first driver to come across those limits tonight as we check it back in with the front 2 for the race lead. 7.5 minutes on the clock between them here, which means we're going to see another 4 laps of racing at the end of this one here. So we're going all the way to 21 laps for this race tonight. And Connell's looking racy here, Jay. He's forcing Williams defensive into this fast chicane here. Now, that's interesting here. Williams, yeah, he's not going to give this one up. So we certainly have an all-out stoush for the race lead. They've got 6 seconds, nearly 7 seconds to Jack Wittes in P3. So they certainly got some options to play with here. Meanwhile, there's your fight for 3rd. A Mercedes leads 2 Audis. Cross the line here, but here comes Connell up the inside. Crisscross under brakes, but he's fighting in too deep.
Oh. Beautiful move that comes undone. And interesting when we flick back there to the battle between Bird and Rizzo. Rizzo thought about making a move into the final corner. It ruined his run. And what that's done, Luke Turner is catching these guys and catching them quick. So that early pit stop to put in that extra bit of fuel has meant that he is 100% A-OK on fuel. I'm wondering if Bird, Rizzo, Wittes, they're just unsure 100% that they're right on fuel and maybe have to save a little dash, especially the likes of Rizzo, because he was such a short stop there at the end.
Could be a strategic play here, perhaps, to hang tight for a couple of laps. Maybe let Alex be the one to try and open the issue, because with the way these guys are fighting, when the change of position comes, it's going to be pretty decisive and in a way that opens a door surely to another spot being taken by the next guy in queue. And well, there's your deltas here. Less than half a second between these 3 cars and 5.8 up the road. Nearly 6 seconds now up the road, I should say, to P2. And Yeah, 1.2 seconds from Ross Rizzo back to Luke Turner. They're not that far off on lap pace last time around, at least, Jay. 0.3 of a second was all it was. So it's going to take something a little extra, I think, from these guys to really mix things up. But, well, yeah, all Luke Turner's job is to keep putting in fast laps. And, well, the opportunity may present itself. He's just got to give himself every chance of being there when the time comes. As once again, our race leaders are looking dicey, but that's going to be a very decisive setup from Jeff Connell.
Here we go.
Down the front straight we go. He's going to try and force Williams tight on the way down to turn 1. Rizzo spun at the final turn. Meanwhile, as we watch the side-by-side drag for the race lead, 3 to go at the line. Connell's ahead on the brakes, but Williams is going to keep the inside for the race lead here. Unless does Connell get the inside for turn 2? He does. Oh, can Williams pinch him here on the inside here for turn 2? He's going to pinch, but he opens the steering. Connell up the inside. He's now going to get 3/4 clear. Try and shut the door, but he can. Oh, he's finally shut the door for turn 4. There's a change in the race lead. And now, can Jeff Connell hang on? But, oh, just yeah, as we're talking about it all, we're watching this here. Yeah, we need to go have a look at what happened. Unfortunately, it's all come undone by himself here at the final turn, Jay. As we take a look at the replay, once again, thanks to Virtual Racing School here. So through the final chicane, we come all nice and steady, and then, yeah, just the exit of the final turn here.
Wondering if it's just related to that fuel conservation.
Oh,
Maybe
no.
just double checking fuel and just bang out into the dirt. And unfortunate incident, as you said, all by himself. Got no one to blame but himself. While that's happened, I think that's meant Bird's now got an extra little bit of confidence. He doesn't have to worry about his mirrors. He's now pushing hard to try and steal the lead away from Jack Wittes.
Yeah, I think he would indeed. Well, yeah, fight for P3 here, certainly on tonight. And, well, yeah, Turner's still trying to close the gap, but he's not making the inroads he needs. He's only closing in by about a tenth and a half. And, in fact, yeah, Jack Wittes puts in a personal best as a 52.7, but it's still holding up Alexander Bird, who's done 52.0 this race. And even then, that's not the fastest we've seen tonight. That goes to Kobe Williams. A 51.76 is the fastest valid lap he's put in tonight. As, oh, look at the different lines to the final turn there, Jay. Wittes really trying to straighten that exit and get himself the best drag run. Bird, though, trying to really force the issue. 2 laps here to go at the line, and Turner is closing slightly. In fact, he gains over half a second on that last lap. Oh, front to rear contact into turn 1. All right, so now we're starting to see things. We're just trying to really back the car up on corner exit, perhaps, to try and, well, if not choke any run for Bird off these corners, but just prioritize his exit wherever possible, it would seem. So this is going to get very interesting towards the end. And, well, how many incident points, I wonder, do any of these guys have left to play with? Do they have something they can throw away as a bit of a disposable, or they need to preserve anything for a potential 4X to come?
Oh, you'd want to make sure that you've got that in the bag, wouldn't you? You'd want to make sure, in saying that last week, how many drivers were on 16 when we saw the end of the race? It was so tight for so many guys, as Rob Hill has an incident with Ben Jeffrey back in the field. He's managed to keep going. Going to quickly look at Matt Andrews, who is still leading your AM class. He is first. There is second there, Graham Smith. So he's got a decent lead, but Lehman closing that gap to Graham Smith. So we'll come back to that at some point before the end of the race. But first and second looks like it may be settled. Connell starting to break away, but Alexander Bird, Jack Wittes, this is well and truly on for that final podium spot.
Yeah, it is. And, well, he's certainly trying. As they come down into the chicane once again, he's got a good slipstream here. Wittes is going to have to defend if he's not careful, but Bird's not close enough. He's smarter than that. He will stay in line here. So they come through, and it's going to be 1 lap to go here as they come across the line. So looks like it is Connell's race to lose, but he's got traffic ahead, and I think he wants to clear that traffic as soon as he can. Unfortunately, it's Daniel Hill, who I think has served a second drive-through penalty,
second
Jay.
drive-through, yep.
So incident limit really hurting him tonight. But look at that there. Luke Turner, he is certainly in the picture here. He's going to try and throw it in deep on the brakes at turn 1, but that hurts him on the way out. He's going to have to rely on the 2 guys ahead really going at it proper here. But Wittes is putting everything he can into that car to finish this one off, I dare say. And every last ounce of grip and power that Merck's got Can he hold back the Audi of Bird here on this final lap of the Pro-Am feature race tonight?
Notice Matt Andrews has dropped down the overall timing sheet, but is still maintaining around about a 4-second gap back to Graham Smith. So as it stands right now, he's okay, but the gap between Smith and Lehman is down to 1 second. So that gap is closing and closing relatively quick for the podium spots in AM. But here in Pro, this second and third place battle is intense. Luke Turner, I've got a funny feeling that something bizarre is going to happen and Turner's going to steal the spots.
Well, there's Jay putting his money in the betting pool, I guess, then, for
I've just got one of
antics and
those
shenanigans.
My Spidey sense is tingling, and you know how sometimes when you're sitting in the comms booth, you've seen so many races that you can just sense something's going to happen.
Well, we'll see what happens then. Well, how about that? Lap traffic might just play a part. Phil Audie's just up the road. But Jeff Connell comes through the final chicane. That looks nice and tidy there for the number 4 machine. And indeed, he'll come around the final turn. Williams is late on the brakes. One last dive, perhaps, but no, it's not going to be. Jeff Connell returns to winning ways here with his first win for Season 7 ahead of Kobe Williams. Jack Wittes is going to hang on to P3. They will come across the line as they were, but look at that there from Luke Turner. He comes right up to the bumper of Alexander Bird, but it's going to have to be a 5th place finish. Gaderick there in 6th ahead of Rizzo for 7th. The top 10 will be rounded out by 11, Fit and Hewitt. And then, once again, came home in 10th place, 2nd of the AM drivers tonight.
Is Smith going to make
Andrews
it?
makes it and then win. Oh, does he make it? I think he will. Yes, he hangs on just to the line
Half a
ahead of
second.
Sam Lehman. Certainly
After the
was
pit
closing all the
stops-
way.
After the pit stops, Lehman was 3 seconds behind, slotted into that gap in between he and Hill, and then started to close that gap down. Good drive from Sam. So Owen Coleman, he might steal a spot right at the end from Adam Jepson. Not quite close enough.
Yeah, it doesn't get the drive off the final turn, unfortunately, and have to settle there for 23rd outright, as we see Ben Pollock doing the weave there. Now, for Pollock, that might just be 8th place in class for Pollock, as the last couple of our drivers make their way around the final turn. Stephen Burgess, another driver, unfortunately, who picked up a drive-through penalty earlier on in the session. He brings it home in 27th outright. He still makes up places here tonight, Jay. So certainly a lot of movers and shakers in this field, which we'll get to in a second once we get a chance to bring up the race results, I think. And indeed, here they are for you. The results from the feature race of the Pro-Am from the Nurburgring Grand Prix here tonight. Jeff Connell, once again, your race winner as it stands. Almost 8/10 clear of Kobe Williams there in the end of it all. And then 3rd place, Jack Wittes hangs on by the skin of his teeth ahead of Alexander Bird. But then Luke Turner closing the gap. Needed one more lap to have a proper go, I reckon, but he'll have to hopefully be happy with a P5 finish in the feature there ahead of Dennis Gaderick in 6th. Ross Rizzo in 7th. Certainly a case of what could have been there for Ross, but, well, still another top 10 outright. I think he won't be too disappointed about that. Brendan Levin next there in 8th place ahead of Joshua Fitt and Wayne Hewitt to round out our all-pro top 10 outright here in the feature.
Yeah, then Timothy Febben in 11th. So we get into some of our AM drivers. Matt Andrews picks up the win in AM ahead of Adam Funslow in P13, 12th in class. And we're at Graham Smith and Sam Lehman rounding out 2nd and 3rd. In the AM class, Christopher Henn in P16, big mover in the field, plus 16 positions from where he started in that race. Ben Jeffrey, Rob Hill, Cal Kang and Richard Brookfield all picking up top 10s in our AM class.
21st placed outright goes to Ben Pollock there, ahead of Adam Jepson for 22nd. 23rd to Owen Coleman, with Daniel Cheney next up there in 24th. Lachlan Capel, yeah, it's a week to forget for your defending series champion there. 25th place, not the rebound he would like after the first round, let alone the first race tonight, but, well, back to the drawing board, I think, for him in terms of what happens in the races, I guess. Hilton Booth, 26th. Stephen Burgess at 27th there, actually not far off the rear bumper of Booth, but not quite there in the end of it all. Jeremy Green, 28th, a good recovery after a race one he'd probably rather forget. 29th went to Aaron Racanello there, and then 30th place outright goes to Nick Bottrell there.
There we go, back to Daniel Hill and Simon Cox. The last two drivers on the lead lap. Then it's a tale of woe, tale of drive-throughs and a tale of issues for Nick Wood, Phil Audis, Sean Lacey, Derek Audie, Simon Dwyer, Hamish Munro, and then DNFs for Dylan O'Shea, of course, after that contact put him over the incident limit for a drive-through penalty. Jake Janovic also had a drive-through penalty, as in Danny Davison. Unfortunately, getting involved in that issue we saw with Lachlan Capel early on in that one as well. Also did not finish the race. What a night of racing we've had, and believe it looks like we may have our race 2 winner standing by for a little bit of a chat.
Yes, we do have one of our podium finishers from that second race tonight. It's Jeff Connell, your race winner, here to have a chat with us. Well, good to have you back in the commentary box after a race here, Jeff, and a good return to form after a busy round 1 at Silverstone. How was things here with the new, slightly tweaked balance of performance? A little bit less of a deduction to the engine power this season. 1% down for you guys in the Mercedes this week. How did that sort of feel around Nurburgring tonight?
I definitely noticed the 1% on the straight just with the Beamer. You could see it had a bit more power, but as far as lap time go, it was barely anything. It might have been a tenth and a half. The biggest difference between last week and this week was going from medium downforce, where the Merc was unreal, to high downforce this week. It just turned it into a little bit of a pig compared to last week. So that's where the bigger time difference was.
Okay, good to know that one there. I guess, yeah, certainly the Merc's looking absolutely unreal, and looking at some of the feedback you guys were putting down in the Discord afterwards, you guys were sort of talking about the mid to high speed rotation and cornering was where the Merc was really shining at Silverstone. Obviously, yeah, putting, I guess, a bit more wing on the car will change that up a bit. But so, yeah, looking through that tonight's race, yeah, qualifying very competitive at the front of the group tonight. So, despite a solid lap from you, it was 7th place for the start of that race. Having to work your way through that pack of guys there with 10 minutes on the clock, you guys are absolutely going hammer and tongs at the front of the field. I guess, what was it like trying to keep that one clean whilst also getting yourself as far front as you can, and also mindful of the incident limit too, even though it's a short race?
In the first one, it was probably a bit more hectic because with the train of 5 of us all fighting for the lead, it was hard to dive bomb someone because you had another car in front. You couldn't just drill. Whereas that race, obviously, yeah, first lap or two was pretty sketchy coming from 8th. Just got a good start. Had a couple of good moves the first few laps, and then after that it was just about trying to have clean air and then enough fuel. So and then, yeah, at the end of that one, that was an awesome battle with Kobe. It was so much fun, especially with the Beamer having that little bit more top end. You really had to set a move up and make sure he covered the corner before, otherwise I was never going to out-drag him without a massive dive bomb. So, yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, indeed. We sort of see turn 1 a favoured spot here at the Nurburgring, and you certainly put it to good use. A couple of chances there, and good defending. So, yeah, good stuff to see from you both there tonight, and credit to you guys both for making that work there and look good while you're doing it as well. So, I guess looking forward to the next couple of rounds here. Obviously, the Wildcard next week at the Red Bull Ring, and we're introducing the Porsche 992 Cup car. I guess, is that a car you've had much experience with in the recent times, Jeff, or this will be a bit of a new experience for you in that car when we get there next week?
I'll be pretty new. I've barely driven that 992. Like, since it replaced the 991, I've probably done maybe 2 races in it. So, yeah, very much a rookie in that car. So I'm sure I'll be struggling, especially at Red Bull Ring. But, yeah, it'll be a struggle, I think, to be on the pace. But it's an awesome track. Like, heaps of drafting, heaps of good battles there. So it'll be a lot of fun anyway. See how we go with it, you know. If I could just sort of race hard, and even if I don't have the pace, just try and race people pretty hard, get in front of a few people in some tight battles, and it'd be awesome.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing how things go there then in that case. Before we let you go, man, I know the car's still blank by the looks. It'll certainly look blank by the scheme of things. Is there anyone you still want to thank, though, for the result tonight?
Yeah, car's blank, so be happy if any partners wanted to come on board. I'd love it. But no, just once again, you guys, awesome broadcast, good quality, and Sam and everyone that runs this series, it's unreal. Like, the mix of drivers we have, from real life pros to pros on here to amateurs on here and newbies. It's pretty cool. I don't know what the numbers were like tonight, but 80 cars all up last week was unreal. So yeah, they're obviously doing a good job, and makes it fun for us, you know, all the time and effort they put in. It's good for us just to be able to jump on and have fun for a few hours. So yeah, thanks to them.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff. And there you have it, your feature race winner from the Nurburgring, Jeff Connell. And, well, it looks like we don't have anyone else here to chat to tonight, Jay. So, indeed, let's take a look at what we've got next week. We just sort of mentioned it there with Jeff. Third round of season number 7 here for the simrigs.com Oz Pro Am Sim Series heads to the Red Bull Ring, but it is going to be featuring the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car. So, a quite different set of wheels for these guys, despite the fact that it has the words GT, or the GT3 acronym in the name, Jay. It's certainly a different beast, and well, around a place like the Red Bull Ring, it is certainly going to be a bit of a pack racing affair if I've ever seen one, I would expect. But who knows, we might have a couple of guys who can wheel out some magic here next week when we get into the racing situation.
Yeah, it'll be a real mixed-up field, you would think, next week. Some guys in Pass 2 that maybe were mid-pack runners that might find themselves up the front. Some guys that are front pack who will be back further. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how it goes next week in our first of our 2 wildcards. Wildcard for the second wildcard is going to be an even bigger curveball. I'm really looking forward to this. Red Bull Ring's one of my favourite tracks on the service, especially out of the newer content. Looking forward to seeing how it goes. Bring it on, and I'll be here once again with you as a shout out to our good mate David Haynes, who's not with us for the next couple of weeks. He's over in the States doing a little bit of racing himself.
Indeed, yep. Well, that will, I think, do us for tonight, Jay. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. A big thanks to everyone who makes the simrigs.com Oz Pro Am Sim Series possible. Of course, simrigs.com, you've heard it enough times by now, but certainly the title partner of the series for several seasons running now. And to all the other partners you can see here on screen, Phoenix Smokers, Computer Technology Corporation, Echuca Toyota, and Index Designs, who help make this series possible. A big thanks goes out from us for being able to cover this series here for you tonight. Hope you look forward to joining us next week, same time, for that third round of this season number 7 here on SimSpeed TV, whether you join us for anything else coming up in the meantime beforehand, with plenty of other stuff, well, coming away across the next couple of days as well. Look forward to seeing you here, there, and everywhere as it may be. My name is Danny Yeaman. It's been Jake Kennedy alongside me in the commentary box. Thank you all once again for watching, and have a good evening from us here at SimSpeed.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nurburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.